One day Tim, Jim, Marius, and Sean invited Cozy bowling. And then they said, we like football, so would it be good if we could play fantasy? This is fantasy football with Cozy.
Layla, fantasy football, Layla, fantasy football, Layla.
Ah! Are you ready for fantasy football with Cozy? Alright, so my brain still isn't fully functioning from last night, but I apologize in advance if this week's episode is a little dry and boring. Ah! But let's start with Daniel versus Tim.
Lex.
Tim, it'd be really good if you win this week because I could potentially regain the #1 spot over Daniel. But if you lose, and also Dan loses, Dan Medic, I actually guarantee a playoff spot
Lex.
if I win. So, having said that, I'm kind of torn on this matchup, but I think Tim got a little better matchups, a little better projections. Stafford should do okay today. Lynch may not do as good as you think he will, but you get a pretty solid lineup. A little better matchups than Daniel does. Tough week for you, Daniel. You're going down. Tim's going to win by about 5. Now we got Marius versus Dan Medic. Now this is going to be our close matchup of the week, I think. Right now, ESPN actually has Marius ahead by a few points, but I'm thinking Medics is going to pull this one out. And contrary to previous predictions, it's not because of your receivers, who actually may have a little bit of a tougher time today. Frank Gore actually looks like he has a tough matchup against the Saints, but if you look at who the Saints have played this year, they haven't faced a running back like Frank Gore. So I think they're going to be tested. I think he's going to have a pretty decent day. On Marius' side, I'd be a little worried about Peyton Manning with that ankle sprain. But again, I think after looking at the matchups, Dan's going to win, which may put Dan in the running for a playoff spot. Now, last week, I included a bit on Bob Saget in my video. Daniel Davey reached out and asked if that was a tribute to him. I didn't really understand at first what the correlation was, but obviously, Daniel, it was not a tribute to you. It was actually a tribute to Tourette's guy.
Oh, Bob Saget! Oh, Bob Saget!
Now, I read right through what you asked me, and I felt the pain. I felt that you really wanted to have a tribute to you. So I've put together a tribute to our friend Daniel Davey. I heard a song that has no meaning whatsoever, but it's really touching, and here's a tribute to Daniel Davey.
You've got the strength, you've got the courage, even with a dead fetus on your head. You carry on, you fight for tomorrow. A dead fetus know you never let go. You're my conjoined twin, dead thing hanging off your head, woman.
It gets me every time. That song is from South Park, and it's really touching. Now on to the matchup, Jim versus Shane. I'm actually not going to analyze this matchup. Shane, you've lost 4 in a row, and you just lost by 100 points. You're my friend, and I know this hurts, buddy, but not going to analyze your matchups until you win. And you're probably not going to win this week. I hope you do, but you're probably not going to win this week. So, moving on, we're going to look at the matchup between Sean and Cozy. I think I got the edge here. I have some really good matchups all around. We have good defense in Baltimore going against Matt Forte, but they're not really good at defending receiving running backs. My receivers all have good matchups, Kansas City is actually not that great at defending against the run. So I think Moreno should have a pretty decent day. Sean, you should actually have a pretty big day from Reggie Bush. Nice trade, by the way. But I think I'm going to squeak this one out. I'm going to say a little bit of a close race, but I'm pulling it out in the end. Cozy wins.